Hello and welcome. In this video session I'm going to show you how to name your images for SEO purposes. Now let's take a quick look at this slide here and understand why you should name your images properly. First, because major search engines like Google provides image search. Second, your potential customers conduct image search. And also, naming your images properly will help search engines to gain further information about your website's overall content. And also, once you understand the importance of naming your images properly, you will, as a result, attract more people to your website. Make no mistake about it. Therefore, let me show you what an image element looks like on a web page. This is the source code of my web page, and as you can see, image tag starts from here and ends here, and it contains source, meaning where's the file located. Also, we can define the width and height, and also alt attribute, and also title of the image. Now let's quickly browse and find out why these are important. Now, image element is used for incorporating inline graphics. What that means is you want to have an image on your web page, therefore it needs to be included in an image element, or else the browser will not understand the markup language. Therefore, I want you to imagine a blind citizen, for example. Okay? It'll make sense to you in a minute. You see, when you place your images on your web pages, the way I go about it is I first imagine a blind citizen going online and browsing the internet just like you and me, right? But you see, blind citizen is restricted as to understanding web pages if the web pages are not designed with accessibility matters and so on. Okay. Now, when I imagine as to how should I name my images, what I do first is I imagine a blind citizen. I'm imagining him or her visiting my web page, and what I want to do first is name my images properly. Okay, and in this example I've got Melbourne_city.jpg as an image name. Okay, now by itself it doesn't really say much to the visitor, right? But you see, when we start playing around and naming our images properly, the alt attribute is used for alternate text. What that means is, let's say we've got an image with its source and file name as such, you see on the screen now. When we then place an alt attribute, okay, it's very important to understand that alt attribute is not a place so we can place our keywords in it. Okay, we shouldn't be thinking like that. Okay, what alt attribute must do is describe in short and descriptive terms as to what that image is all about. Okay, what is the contents, okay, of that image. Just imagine the blind citizen visiting us now, right? So how can we allow that human to understand by looking at the alt attribute as to what that particular image is all about. Okay, now it is very important because I find that a lot of SEO information online suggests that search engine optimization should include alt tags, while we keyword stuff, keyword spam the alt tags. Okay, that's not what you do. Okay, that's a negative if we keyword spam the alt attribute. Okay, it has to describe, further extend the file name. Okay, that's what it needs to do. So let's take a look at the title attribute. Although it is a non-essential element, so to speak, okay, but we need to think a little bit outside the box, so to speak, when we think of Google rankings and so on. Okay, what that means is, let's look at the slide as an example. Now, just picture this in your mind. Look at the information that I have here on this slide. Okay, now without the alt attribute and title attribute, by looking at the file name, you probably couldn't tell what that image was all about or what it was describing. Okay, but because we've placed the alt attribute, further expanding the file name, okay, and then we've placed the title attribute, and if we look at the whole image element as one, then you can, by looking at this example, you can actually visualize what that image is all about. Okay, now surely this is an example, but I want to explain to you in a sense that this is how you expand your file names, and this is how you expand your alt attributes, and this is how you place your title attributes. In a sense, surely you're not going to be targeting search terms as to perhaps people catching trains and so on, right? But let's say that I own a business in the city of Melbourne. Okay, let's say for an example. Now there is many websites and online businesses who own online websites. They try to bring locally targeted potential customers, and so to speak, right? So they will inevitably have images. If they're located in Melbourne, surely they perhaps will have images about Melbourne. But you see, when we start thinking like this, what is going on here is, you see, if I'm targeting the keyword Melbourne, for example, or Melbourne, Australia, well, as far as Google SEO is concerned, this is good enough for me. Okay, this is good enough, as opposed to having things like this in my alt attribute. Okay, perhaps a reason may say, well, this is pretty good, but I assure you it isn't. This is actually much better, okay, for SEO purposes. Just remember that, because that will help you get a better understanding as to how to search engine optimize your images on your web pages. What I'll do is I'll show you how I went about this particular image, and how I went about targeting some keywords within the alt attribute and also the title. Okay, see, this is what the keywords here, all of them are important, but let's say these ones are important, right? But you see, look, I don't have to name that image as to say search engine optimization.jpg and alt attribute as to search engine optimization, and then title search engine optimization. Now, if I do that, that's not smart. But when I go along this line here, along these lines here, right, I am indirectly targeting that particular keywords that you see here. Okay, so this is how you do it, instead of just putting all the keywords in alt attributes or title attributes and so on. Okay, it's very important. Now if we look at the slide now, and when we start thinking about Google rankings and so on, or better user experience and so on, okay, we can also place the width and height attributes in the image element itself. Okay, why is that important? It is very important because when an internet browser loads, if we define the height and width, it'll create a placeholder, so to speak, while all your other web content is being loaded. When we define the width and height, your web pages will load faster. Not only that, your design elements, such as your divs and your other content on the web page, while the browser is rendering, it won't look funny, or your code won't break, your styles won't break, and so on. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. And if you want to find out more in-depth explanation of how to name your images for SEO, I've made a blog post located at www.rankia.com. Simply head out and read through it. I thank you once again. This video session has been brought to you by www.rankia.com.au. Take care. Thank you very much for your visit. Thank you. Bye-bye.